Warning, this podcast may change the way you think about business, entrepreneurship, and money forever. The Conquistador Podcast was created for dreamers, entrepreneurs, and leaders who want to conquer their future. To be an epic entrepreneur, you must adopt the right mental paradigms as well as master the art of selling, marketing, and finance. Now, it's time to welcome two serial entrepreneurs, leaders, husbands, and fathers who are passionate about sharing the strategies that are helping them excel in life and in business. Here are Mauricio Garcia and Hubert Humphrey.
Okay, looks like we are live once again. Excited for the opportunity to be able to do the Conquistador Podcast. And today we're going to talk about failure. And who better to talk about that than an entrepreneur that's been building businesses for the last 4 decades. And of course, he is my friend, my mentor, my partner, Hubert Humphrey. Yet another episode to do here, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. I love these podcasts, and I love the subjects we've got, and I love being able to share this with a lot of these great people out there that are looking to improve their life and grow their business, start their business, and make all their dreams come true. And if we can help in any way, I'm all for it.
Michael Jordan is known to have a quote that basically says, "I failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." I can only think that when you are in business for so long, and, we've been talking a lot in the previous podcast about the two multi-billion-dollar market cap companies that you were the architect of, and now building a third one. But we don't really talk much about failure. And of course, everybody hates failure, and we need to learn how to embrace it in a different way to not give up just because we failed. Of course, there's a lot of quotes now if you go to social media where you find a lot of these quotes and these things. But let's hear it from you, because I'm sure that it wasn't just one day you woke up and said, "I'm going to build these billion-dollar market cap companies," and all of a sudden they were there, right? There was probably a lot of failure along the way, and I think, what I'd like to learn is how to cope with it, embrace it, and grow.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think failure is a part of life. I mean, failure implies that there's been a test where you've either passed or failed at any given moment. And a test is designed for what? It's designed to separate you out, and the people who pass the test move on. The people who fail a test, they stay back until they can pass that test. So failure is not an end game unless you accept it as the same. It's one thing about embracing failure as opposed to accepting failure. Now, I never accept failure as my the final answer. I never accepted defeat is the final deal. You may knock me down today, but I'm gonna get right back up, and you may knock me down again tomorrow. I'm gonna get back up. There's no saying that says it matters not if you try and fail again, but it matters much if you try and fail but fail to try again. The key is always getting back up, always trying again. Don't ever stay down like a boxer. As long as you keep getting up. When I was a little boy, Rocky Marciano had become the heavyweight champion of the world. He ended up retiring as the only undefeated heavyweight champion in history, even since that time. Mm-hmm. And he was just a young up-and-coming boxer, had knocked everybody out, and all of a sudden he gets his chance to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world, his first time. And he's fighting this seasoned veteran who was 10 or 12 years older than him, great champion, had been champion for several years. His name was Jersey Joe Walcott, great champion. And I'm just a little kid now. I'm probably 8 or 9, about 9 or 10, something like 10, 11. My daddy, we had just got a TV for the first time. One of those little round little screen. And I remember that he gets this TV, and we loved to watch Friday night fights, and he'd always have me in there watching the fights with him. Mm-hmm. And I kind of grew up liking sports and liking it. And so I'm watching Marciano, and he starts fighting. And I don't remember everything, but I remember he got knocked down 1 or 2 times in 4 or 5 rounds, it was like the Rocky movie all over again. He was just bloodied, his eyes swollen. They wanted to stop the fight, and he wouldn't let them stop it. And it went to the 10th round, 11th round, 12th round, 13th round. He's behind on all the scorecards. He was just getting pummeled. But and every time he got knocked down, he'd get back up. He'd get knocked down. He got knocked down 6, 7 times. And in the 14th round, just knowing that they'd probably going to stop the fight at the end of that round because he couldn't see anything, he just kept his punches going, just kept swinging, just kept getting up and kept swinging. And the famous shot is that he's on the ropes, and you see Walcott coming in. You see his punch coming in at him. He's starting to land a punch that probably was going to put him down for the final count. But at the same time, Marciano, with his eyes kind of closed, leaning on the ropes, he just swings a left hook. He just swinging it because all he knew how to do was just keep swinging. And he catches him one instant before he released his right hand, and it knocked him cold. He went down for the only time in the fight, and they counted him out. Marciano becomes the heavyweight champion of the world.
Wow.
And proceeds to defend his title all those years, retired undefeated. But it was because he kept getting up one more time and he got knocked down. There's magic in that. There's magic in that Rocky movie. So we just got to know it's a part of life. But that's why you have constant course corrections. That's why you need a system to help you get back up and get right back on the right track. You know, I worked on the railroad for many years, and any time a train derailed, which was a bad thing, whether you liked it or not, whether it took 2 days or 5 days or whatever, they had to come in with heavy equipment and cranes. You had to move the wreckage out of the way, and you had to re-rail everything, and you had to get that track back open and get back on the track and go. It was ancient history. That derailment was ancient history. Now the train's got to go. Got to go.
Is there any phrases or anything that you use as energy or as an idea to be able to get up? Like let me share what has made a big difference in my career as an entrepreneur is just understanding two things, that pain equals progress. So whenever I'm in pain, whenever something's really hurting, whenever I want to give up, I've just trained my brain to know that if I am going through pain, that means that I am having to learn, I'm growing. So that means progress. And then the other thing is that, perseverance is omnipotent. In other words, you can do anything as long as you keep your trying mode going. And how did you learn to cope with failure? Because and we don't have to talk about any specific moment in time. I know you failed 100, 1,000 times or thousands of times over the last 40 years as you were trying to build these organizations. But I think the big thing here is how do you get up? Like what do you lash on to? Because a lot of people, I think they fail one time or two times and they give up most of the time. That's why the numbers are there. 90% of businesses fail, and many of it is probably because they didn't have the energy to get up one more time and do it.
That's right. Most businesses that failed didn't fail because they were bad businesses. Mm-hmm. Didn't fail because it was the wrong time. Didn't fail because they didn't have the right product, the right idea. They didn't fail because they were headed in the right direction. It's because they stopped short of success and could not make themselves keep going. It's that old saying about the story about the guys digging and digging, looking for the largest silver mine in the world, and they were digging and digging, and then and after all these years of digging, they just finally give up and close the shop. And it had failure, and they stop. The next guy comes along, throws a shovel out there and digs 2 feet and 3 feet, and he hits the silver, the greatest silver mine of all time. And it was the people had stopped digging 3 feet short of silver. You can't do that. Most businesses have failed because people stopped doing a good thing. They were headed in the right way, or some invention that somebody gave up, and somebody else comes along and takes where they started and carries it forward. Mm-hmm. Thomas Edison, we would be doing this broadcast in the dark today if Thomas Edison couldn't have accepted failure. He's one of the great examples of failure. He failed over 10,000 times just in trying to come up with to invent the light bulb. and that sort of something. But it's the failures, and he was willing to stay at it. He knew in his mind that one it needed that was a problem that needed a solution, and he knew it existed, and he had seen enough and learned enough. He knew somebody was going to do it, and he was going to stay at it until he had to prove all the ways it didn't work to get to the point where he proved the thing would work. And Abraham Lincoln, another great way of embracing failure. Lincoln was born in Kentucky out in the woods and moves up as a boy up into Illinois and raised in log cabins and just a little small town person, and tried to be a lawyer, and he was just a small town lawyer that was not making it. He tried to run for every little local offices and county offices and statewide offices, and everything he tried, every office he ran for, he was defeated 13 straight times. And then one day he's elected president on the 14th. He's elected president of the United States, and you just don't stop. You just have to stay at it. General Patton, he said the way to win is to refuse to lose. Think about that. Refuse to lose, and you've got the ability to choose whether you're going to keep doing something or you're going to stop. You've got the free agency. You've got all that. We're all equipped to do this. You just got to make up your mind. Nothing. There's no saying by Victor Hugo said nothing is more powerful than a made-up mind. A made-up mind with burning passion in your heart and hunger and drive will keep you from giving up. Especially if you've got the noble purpose in mind of what. If you can see how good it's going to feel to succeed, how wonderful it's going to be for the people that are going to benefit from you succeeding, your family, just how good it's going to be for your kids to be able to grow up and go to the right kind of schools, and your wife to be proud of you, to be happy to live in the right kind of home, and to be able to do the right kind of things that you want to do. If you can keep the end in mind, passionate enough in your mind, when you lay it on the floor there, they're counting 1, 2, they're trying to count to 10 to knock you out. You're sitting there thinking about, man, I want to be champion. I know it's going to be great. Everybody's counting on me. My family's counting on me. Referee, stop counting. I got to get up. Somehow that's got to be going in your mind where you're. And most people that I've heard about in sports, when they were down, especially boxers, when they either were champions or about to be champions, and they all of a sudden something comes along and throws them back, knocks them back. All they can think about is that I'm a champion. Champions don't lay here on the floor. I have to get up. I must get up. It would be terrible for me to no longer be champion, or for me to not become champion. That's what gets you. That's how you embrace it. You know it's there, but you're never really tested in life until you knock back some, until you've had a dose of failure. A dose of failure is good for your character. It separates the winners from the losers.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. Clearly remember, I first started in the insurance industry in 1998, and, started out of failure. I was given a brochure, a presentation, go out to the field, and completely failed knocking on my first door. I've never really done that. It was a complete rejection. I felt, weak on my knees, having to walk up to that door and then somehow say the things or the words that will let me into that family's kitchen table to explain what I had. And so I could have just given up, but refusing to do that, had to go and train what the strategy was, understand human nature and how to really knock that door, how to get in there, and just basically look for those strategies. And that took me to that next level. And then later on, when I had to do radio, my first show was a disaster. I've never really been behind a mic. I'm actually a very introverted person naturally, and had that first show and really no calls, and I just felt horrible. I was even dizzy as I was in the studio. It's like I thought I prepared for that, and it was another failure. And when I tried social media, my first funnels and efforts were completely bombed. But it was that trying mode. It was just embracing that, learning from failure as a stepping stone. I'd rather not fail, to be honest, because I think, it's good not to fail. But it's like there's no way to not fail if you're innovating or if you're growing at a consistent rate. I think we have to just look at it in a positive way versus letting those emotions, those negative emotions, take over us when we do fail. And that's just kind of that paradigm shift that I don't know if you I'm sure you did live through it, and how you were able to snap out of that.
Well, I just was a dreamer. I mean, I allowed myself to dream big dreams that I didn't have any idea that they could really come to pass. But I just dared to dream it anyway. Since you're gonna be dreaming, dream big. Since you're gonna be thinking, think big. I was sort of, I loved heroes. I loved to study about heroes, and I so much wanted to win in life and to escape from where I was that I just couldn't let anything. To be honest, I was doing a lot of failures that I never knew I was even failing. I was oblivious to it, to be honest with you, most of the time. Mm-hmm. I can't even remember a time in my life when I know there was a failure, but I was just so driven that I was oblivious to the pain of it. I just went on and did it. I'd made up my mind so much to do it. And Art Williams, one of the early lessons he taught me, it was in a group of us, and he told us, he said, listen guys, you guys are paid to take no's. You guys are paid to do these little failures, and for people to tell you, no, I don't want to join your company. No, I don't want to buy your product. No. For all the reasons and all the excuses that they can give you, they're going to say no. They're going to lead to a no. He said, but I want you to know that's great, because he said, we pay you in this company, we pay you to take no's. We don't pay you for yeses. Anybody can take a yes. That's easy.
Absolutely.
We're paying you for no's. And that little mindset set me on a real good course in this industry, and for recruiting and sales, that just lasted me a business lifetime. And I never, somehow or another, he so convinced me that in fact, I do distinctly remember I'd had like 12 or 13 yeses in a row, and I said, I'm supposed to be getting no's. What am I going to do here? I can't keep getting these yeses.
Got too good.
And I went to the next person we were talking to and everything, and I just jokingly said to him, I said, look, you're probably going to tell me no. I'm paid to take no's here, and I've got 12 straight people telling me yes, and I bet you're going to tell me no. But of course, they told me yes, because they didn't want to be the one to say no. But it turned out to be a great sales tool, a technique for me. But I really was not joking with them. I was just kind of just laughing about it, that I'm just getting nothing but yeses. I got to get some no's here. And so once you get that mindset, it doesn't bother you. You just and it also, another thing about failure is that try to set yourself up where you minimize the amount of failures you have. The key is to see how many. You don't want to go out and just fail all the time, or you'll be forever failing and never growing. You need to know that there's going to be failures all along the way, but if you can start to minimize them and do it. General Patton, I keep quoting him. General Patton, he told his troops, we don't dig foxholes here. We're never. I want the enemy shooting at where I was, not where I am. Don't be digging foxholes. We're not holding any ground. We're not holding anything. We're moving forward. And so the way if you want to fail, get in a foxhole. When the enemy finally realizes where you're at, they're going to lob a missile right into the foxhole where you're at. That's crazy. So always be growing, always be moving, always be doing what you got to do, and give yourself the best chance to succeed. And that's what you got to do. And don't be trapped by some things. Anyway, I'll pause now. I got another little example of it. I'll share with you here as we get toward the end.
Yeah, I think that is probably one of the most important messages to me, because, like I said earlier, most of the time, the way we look at failure is like that. This is the end, and I gotta go out and do something else because I'm not good. I'm not made for this. I'm not, good at this, whatever it is that you're doing. Not understanding that it's really just a skill that we haven't mastered just yet. And as long as we have all of our senses right, we can learn those skills. And then that way is how we go about minimizing the failures by embracing everything that we've learned in the past, but more importantly, making those paradigm shifts that will give us the ammunition and the power to be able to, snap out of whatever plateau we've reached or whatever failure that we're facing at that time.
Hey, Mauricio, one of the things you were saying there triggered something in my mind here, is that Napoleon Hill's great book, Think and Grow Rich, he talks about how to overcome failure, how to avoid failure, and he lists several things. But one of them was to have your mind tightly sealed against all negatives out there, because I would say more people fail because they worry about what people will say about them when they do have a mistake or make a failure, and a little bit of failure embarrasses them and they give up forever. They don't want to go through that. They're letting people steal their dreams who didn't even mean to steal their dreams, and they just don't understand. So you can't do that, guys. You got to seal your mind off from that kind of stuff. And a lot of times you got to do it from inside your family. So sometimes your families can become the influencers for good or influence for negativity. So the biggest thing is don't let anybody or anything. The lesson I've learned is people who are worried about what people are going to think about them don't understand that people aren't going to think about you. They don't care. All they care about is their life. If you could do the most doggonest thing in the world, and all it's got is 15 minutes of news time, and nobody thinks about it anymore. I mean, you quit worrying about what other people think.
Yeah.
And that'll keep you going better than anything on a daily basis.
Well, there you have it. Hopefully this helps everybody cope with failure a little bit better. And don't give up. Just keep go, and don't stop till you reach the top. Hubert, I want to remind everybody over here in this camera, I want to remind everybody that we are just a couple of days away. This Friday, that's 2 days from today, this Friday, Conquer event goes live, and at this event we will have a lot of successful entrepreneurs, successful business people that have really built significant things, and we want to learn from them. You want to learn from them. You want to know the secrets, the strategies, the psychology that is required to really win big in business. And that's why I say you can't not miss this event. And so if you want to register right now, if you haven't purchased your ticket to be there, this is a virtual event. Well, go to conquerevent.com. It's very easy to remember link. It's conquerevent.com, and there's all the different tickets that you can buy. All have different things that you're gonna get, but we've made it available, or we've made it very accessible for everybody to be able to be there with us live. That is conquerevent.com. And I also want to make sure that we thank the sponsor that makes this podcast possible, and that is Hegemon Group International. If you are in a situation right now where you're not satisfied with the amount of money you're making, you're not satisfied with the impact that you are having in society, in the community, in the world out there, you may need to change what you're doing. And Hegemon Group International has a great opportunity where you are able to learn a skill that pays you very handsomely in return. So check out their opportunity. There is something called the Misery Index out there that I learned from a mentor of mine. Basically says that people aren't satisfied with the money that they're making. They're not satisfied with what they're doing, with the jobs that they have. And so there is this window of opportunity right now to be able to get on this vehicle that can really take you from where you are now to where you want to go. So you want to check out the opportunity by going to hgiopportunity.com. There's a whole presentation about it there, and you'll see that it is the vehicle that you've been waiting or you've been looking for. So with that being said, Hubert, I think we covered the failure topic today in a good way. And we'll wait for people's comments. You know, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like and comment. And if you are listening to this on any of the podcast platforms, well, make sure that you share with other like-minded people, other entrepreneurs, so that they too can better embrace failure and grow from there. Hubert, any last comments today?
Well, let's go fail and grow rich.
Let's go fail and grow rich. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Warning, this podcast may change the way you think about business, entrepreneurship, and money forever. The Conquistador Podcast was created for dreamers, entrepreneurs, and leaders who want to conquer their future. To be an epic entrepreneur, you must adopt the right mental paradigms as well as master the art of selling, marketing, and finance.